Hi everyone, it's Justine. I'm filming this video 2 weeks after launching my first handbag collection, Project Elixir. I want to share the process, the part that you didn't see and that fashion brands don't usually share. Because despite the best planning and highest motivation, launching physical design is complex and chaotic. Project Elixir started in December last year. And after my previous launch, which was jewelry, in the midst of a world pandemic, I knew one thing, which is I had to get more support for the next one. I also knew when doing handbags, the biggest failure factor is making mistakes in constructing the bag. If that doesn't work, you can throw away all your leather. So I looked for somebody with experience in the leather industry and with project management skills on top so that they could take some of the workload off my plate. I found someone, onboarded them, briefed them on this specific project, on the creative direction. We started working and then 3 weeks later, they quit. Justine, this project is much bigger than I thought. Too much stress, cannot handle. I thought too bad because the stress is the lowest it's ever going to be. It only goes up from here. That was just before Christmas and suddenly I was back to square one. I considered for a hot minute taking that workload myself. I've done it before, but I was scared of burning out on the way. Long story short, it took me 2 months, but I did find another person with similar skills and with higher stress resistance, and so the project could resume. Now, the design direction for this collection was puristic, geometric, and versatile. Puristic as in curves meet angles, clean lines, tactile and smooth surfaces, minimal hardware elements. Geometric as in bringing the seams inside out to create geometric lines reminiscent of pattern making in apparel design, where I come from. And versatile, for me, that meant that the bag can be used in different ways and or it can grow or shrink depending on how much you want to put in it. It has to be super functional. I also defined very precisely what needs to fit into each bag format. So a laptop, an iPad, a wallet, what else? And I also defined technical things like for every opening, I want a full zipper. These elements were like a functional must checklist. Then comes the explorative parts, which is the fun parts. Folding paper, playing around, observing what happens. It's about looking for techniques and options without paying attention to how to make it an actual handbag. That comes later. We kept shapes 7 and 9 out of 12, I think. Send the technical drawings to a potential manufacturer in Portugal. For that, we already had a short list of leather suppliers who work with rhubarb and olive to tan their leather instead of chrome, because chrome is toxic and very polluting for water. The prototypes were terrible. The material didn't look good. The construction was not what I wanted. The manufacturer also said that from their experience, the color of rhubarb tan leather is not homogeneous. Help. And that they really don't like to work with that material. Okay, so the shape needed to be reworked. The material wasn't right, and we were not satisfied with the way the manufacturer made the bag either. Quick, find new potential manufacturers and new potential suppliers. Why, you might ask, don't you start with 5 potential manufacturers immediately and 10 different types of leather? It's a good question that I get asked a lot, so I'm thinking you might be wondering this right now. The answer is costs. It's a new product category for me and I'm a young brand, so I have to set up my supply chain and find suppliers for absolutely everything. If I run so many different tests and protos in parallel, my development costs might make me go bankrupt. It's one of the main reasons why young designer brands go bankrupt in their first years, is because they're not paying enough attention to development costs, which are not variable costs linked to sales, right? They're costs that are sunk afterward. You need to be very careful with this, otherwise your development cost can literally skyrocket. I'm also extremely involved in sourcing the materials for my projects because on top of the usual criteria, which are quality, availability, lead time, I also have a list of ethics and sustainability requirements for the suppliers that I choose to work with. And I think that a good creative director should be up to date and keep up with the latest innovations in terms of materials to know what's doable and to keep pushing themselves towards better options. So there was a week in June where I was at the big trade fair in Paris looking for new leathers and for hardware companies that can do custom developments, because that's the thing, I can compromise on the speed of development, but not on the design. The design is the design. And in the same week, my head of production was in Portugal, visiting potential manufacturing ateliers who work with the ethical standards that I'm looking for. Once she called me, super annoyed, she's like, Justine, you won't believe the conversation that I just had with the factory owner. When she told him the kind of production quantities that we were considering, he almost tapped her on the shoulder, like he called her young lady, and then started to explain life to her. Like, you know, young brands like yours, you should start with much smaller quantities. You don't know how much you can sell. I don't think you can sell that much. She was like, what? So that gentleman did not get to produce my handbags. In parallel to finding the right leather and the right vegan alternative, because I also wanted a vegan option, usually you'd also work on all the other elements of the bag, and so that's what we did. The webbing strap was a whole story in itself. The first proto was full of loose threads. That first sample did not pass, and I also changed the design of the webbing because that would not work. Then we found one in Portugal where they managed to weave the jacquard super tight so that, you know, the shoulder strap of the bag will not stretch or lose its shape over time. As soon as we had a supplier for each element, I had to sign off on the quantities. That's July, months ahead of the launch. It's the riskiest phase in the process. You place an order for each leather color, fabrics, hardware elements, all the things that need the longest time to be made. And then that's it. You can't change your production anymore. And also, cash flow. And of course, that was my first handbag line. How many tote bags in the color warm sand can I sell? How many blue crossbodies like this one? There is a fair bit of guessing involved, in all honesty. In the end, I went with the manufacturing atelier in the area around Porto, a factory which is owned by a woman who employs women. No mansplaining there. Their prototypes went well. We did quite a few, especially for the tote bag. The manager on the production floor, she was funny. She doesn't speak English. She would say to me, difficilissimo, difficilissimo. I was like, I don't speak Portuguese, but I think I get it. But they're gonna look fantastic. We cannot change it. So in total, that's 15 prototypes, 7 just for the shape of the tote and the crossbody bag. To be sure that every possible question gets cleared before production starts, I went to Porto in person and spent 3 weeks at the factory, reviewing the pre-production samples, working with the ladies on finding solutions, checking the leather deliveries. Honestly, I highly recommend doing that. I don't understand how some brands think that they don't have to be there. You have to be there, otherwise something is gonna go wrong. While I was in Porto, I also organized the outdoor photo shoot, which is a new thing that I did for this launch. Porto has great light in autumn and beautiful tile houses, which we use as a backdrop, 32 degrees in October, and my outfit involved cashmere and mohair. Melting. Melting! You would think that doing a photo shoot in the middle of October with winter clothes would be a non-brainer. Lol. These photos are now on my website if you want to have a look. That went A+, and I was super happy with the team. What didn't go as well was the product photo shoot, which I did in France. The colors that I had spent so much time choosing and checking in Portugal were not looking the same on the photo as in real life. The leather looked shiny because of the flash, like things were off, the hardware didn't have the right silver color, and I couldn't tell, because I'm not a photographer, is the problem the photo or the editing? I'm not competent in that area. All I knew at this point was I badly needed a break. I was supposed to go to Spain for a week off the following week to reload my batteries before the launch. Eventually, I decided that I did not want to use these photos at all because poor product photography can kill your launch. So I took all my bag samples to Spain and organized a second product photo shoot during my holidays. Something's gotta give, right? These photos are now on my website and the bags look fabulous and they look the same on the photos as in real life. Production is still running, it's going slow, but with the level of quality that I wanted. Imagine that there are 32 ladies working full-time on hand making these bags right now. The pressure throughout a project of this scope is real. You feel it. But I think it's worth it in the end. This is what people will remember at the end of the day. Nobody sees the ups and downs. You see the website photos and you see the actual design when you purchase it. How many steps and redos were necessary to get to that point doesn't matter anymore. When people ask me, is this your best launch yet? My answer is a mix of yes, so far it's my most successful launch financially, and it's been the most challenging one yet. This project made me travel throughout Europe, but it did not disrupt my work because I use Surfshark VPN, who are also sponsoring this video. It's an app which masks what I'm doing online so that potential hackers cannot see what I'm doing or where I am. You choose which country you want to connect to, done. I can access my online banking from a public Wi-Fi in Spain, no problem. I can access all the websites and software that I use at home without them telling me, sorry, your subscription is not available in this country. Before having a VPN, this was a pain. I can stream my French TV series even when I'm not in France by connecting to a server in France. That's not why you should get Surfshark. You should get it because it makes your internet usage safer. But watching movies from any country is a nice perk. And especially while I was alone in Portugal, I did watch a few movies in the evenings. If you want to get Surfshark, they gave me an exclusive deal for you. Use the promo code Justine Leconte at checkout and you'll get up to 6 additional months for free. The link is in the video description. Thumbs up if you enjoyed this vlog. Thank you so much. And if you get a bag from this collection, I hope you liked having a peek behind the scenes. If you missed the launch video, I've linked it here for you. And I guess I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye.